Hi, and welcome to the final lesson on how to produce an electro-funk record. Okay, so now that the track is complete and we've got everything done in terms of the arrangement and the mix down, all I want to do really in this short lesson is just to go over everything and make sure that we've covered all ground. In the beginning of the tutorial, we made sure that we inserted some new VSTs and stuff. So basically, with all of the VSTs that we have, like the VST Tyrell and the Juno Uno 62 replica, and the OBXD 64. Basically, what I want to make sure is that now that you've done the track in the chords that I've given you, what I want you to be able to do now is to go away and make your own tracks with your own chords and your own riffs, arrangements, etc. and come up with something completely new, but are based around the similar sort of arrangement that we've done on this track. So the whole purpose of the tutorial was for you to learn all the skills, learn which sounds to apply, how to put those sounds together in the correct way, so using the brass riffs with the lead lines which complement each other. So it's all about finding out different sort of sounds that work well together. And I think that we've done that in this tutorial, and it's given you the basics for you to now go off and create your own track within this sort of particular genre. Everything that has been done within this has been created with VSTs obviously and with pre-recorded drum hits. I'm hoping that now you've gone off and you've learnt how to beat program a little bit more, you've learnt how to play chords a little bit better, and you've learnt how to play lead lines and brass riffs and keyboard riffs, chords, pads, etc. I'm really pleased with the way the track's turned out, and I hope that you are as well. I would be really interested if you could send me your track and see how you've got on and see what stage you're at with it, and if there's any trouble you're having with it, then just let me know and I'll guide you as best I can. So just a quick recap on everything that we've done. We've got in the lead lines and we've learnt how to play those in, and basically what we've done is with that, as you know, and it's a technique that you can take away with you also, is where you take a bass sound but you manipulate it by using the cutoff and going higher up the octaves and creating a whole different instrument out of it. So it's not really used as a lead line, but we've turned it into a lead line. So hopefully you can do that with some of the bass sounds that you've got in your other presets and other sample sounds that you may use in future tracks. So that's one technique you've learned. And then the bass sound obviously is just another preset, but what we've done is rather than have it as a standard bass sound, we've just cut it short and we've just used very short stabs of it, so that we've manipulated that again, but only in a notation processing way. And with the pads, obviously what we did with that was we took the cutoff down, so but obviously you can make tracks with these pads where you could use a lead line on top as well as playing the chord like so. So go away and learn how to play some different chord arrangements by looking at some other videos on YouTube and learning different chord patterns and different chord structures. So you've learnt that, and we've learnt how to put the sitar in as an added effect on top. So we've gone up higher up the octaves and gone. So you've used that in a different way that it normally would be used. I mean, the sitar on its own is like, it's not very nice, it's not very pleasant, but what we've done is, in this tutorial, I've taught you how to use a sound that is quite raw and quite rough, and used it in a way that is effective and dramatic. So basically never look at a sound as, oh, that sounds a bit horrible. Always have a play with it and experiment with that sound in order to get something new and fresh out of it, which we've done here. Using the beats, as I say, we've programmed in some nice drum beats using some good hits, and we've got the hi-hats in and the toms and stuff. And it's also good to, when you make a track and you're using things like toms, is to manipulate them in different ways and different variations, like we've done here on this section there, and obviously on this small section there. So always play about with it and do different variations and different patterns, so that it gives the track a progressive continuity. And then we've got the claps, the same with the claps as well. Always experiment with the claps and always try and have a little delay on them. It's always nice to give off that effect, especially with the Oberheim clap, because it's a standard 80s sort of clap sound, and you get that real sort of feel with it when you add the delay to it, like so. It's the sort of thing that Larry Levan would have used back in the day to get that authentic sort of 80s sound. The Oberheim clap is always the one to go for. And then we've got the 808 crash, which is standard. And then we've got the brass riffs. Now, obviously, with the brass riffs, we have you can use this in any sort of way. You know, you can have a low octave like this, or go up an octave and, you know, go away and learn some new patterns with that, some new chord progressions with that, and you'll get some really good sort of sounds out of it. And don't forget to use the modulation as well on sounds like this. You know, you can take it to whole different places when you use things like modulation, just small little effect techniques like modulation and pitch bend and ping pong delay and things like that. So, you know, it just really adds a lot of colour and vibrance to the track, rather than just playing straightforward riffs. What we're going to do now is we're going to bounce the track and turn it into a WAV file, and then what you can do is send it off to a mastering company if you're interested in getting it mastered, or you can learn to master it yourself. Mastering is something I've done in previous tutorials, but I'm not going to do it in this one because it's something that now, these days, you can send your stuff off for like less than £10, $10 or whatever, to companies like Landar, where they master it for you using algorithms. And it's a really good and cheap and effective way to get a good quality master back of your track so that you can play it in your DJ sets and so forth. One more thing that I would suggest you do as well, in order to advance your techniques before I go, is to convert this entire set into arrangement view by dragging certain loops and MIDI patterns onto your selected channels here, and then play about with it in the live setting. So if you've got a Novation Launchpad or an Ableton Push or something like that along those lines, then convert it over into the session view, and you can remix the track live and change it around and chop it completely altogether, which is a really exciting thing to do, as well as just having a standard track. So, overall, I'm really pleased that you've done the tutorial, and any problems you have, just email me and I will try to respond within 24 hours. So, we're going to bounce the track, and then from there on, you can take it away as a WAV file, and then you can do whatever you choose to do with it. So, as I say, just don't forget to send me your track should you get around to finishing the course completely. So, in order to bounce your track, remember at the start, what we did was we added some dead MIDI at the start, some blank MIDI, like this. So that when we bounce the track, it has that extra bit of silence at the start and at the end, so that we don't cut off any of the music. Okay, and make sure that your records are off. Make sure there's nothing on your master channel, like so. There's no effects on it at all. And we're going to lower it down to around -8, just there, like say between 12 and 6. And what that does is it gives the mastering engineer plenty of space to mix the track down. So I'm going to play the track in the center, like this. You see it's too high, so I'm going to reduce it to -12. And what that does is it leaves plenty of room here. It leaves like a quarter of the space here for the mastering engineer or the mastering software to allow it for plenty of headspace so that it can master the track and get a fully mastered version out for you. So always make sure that you leave plenty of room in your master channel before you bounce the track. Usually it's -6, but in this case it's going to be -12. And then that way, when the mastering software takes place, it fills the gap with the mastered version, and you've got a fully fledged track for, you know, as I say, your DJing and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the channel at the start, like so, right at the start of the dead MIDI. Click File, click Export Audio, and it's going to say Master. Now you obviously got WAV 44,000 sample rate, 24-bit, triangular, and then just press OK, and then just save it to your desktop, like so. And then press save, and it will just start going over like that. Okay, so that's bounced now, and what we'll do is we'll find that on the desktop, and it's there, look, and I'm going to drag that into a fresh audio channel. And there we have it. And I'm going to double click on that and take the warp off. And there we go. There is your finished track with plenty of room for mastering. And there we go. That is the course complete and everything done and settled. So once you've done that, make sure that you have got the extended bits at the start here, like so that when you send it off to a mastering engineer, there's plenty of dead silence at the start and at the end, so nothing gets cut off. So thank you very much for taking part in this course. I really appreciate it. Any problems, just email me and I'll respond in 24 hours. Thank you very much and goodbye.